Today I'm presenting the first of a series of 4 podcast episodes that I recorded with Dina Berrin. Dina reached out to me after hearing one of my Mystic Way podcasts, and we had a chat last week and decided it would be great to record a series of podcasts together. Dina lives in New York, and as you know, I'm in Brisbane, Australia, so it was very special to connect across the world with another spiritual creator. Dina's a tarot card reader. She studied tarot and other divinatory disciplines for over 20 years. And she uses her knowledge of the tarot, astrology, numerology, charm casting and intuition to guide clients through life-changing decisions. I'll put Dina's contact details in the podcast description, so check it out. This is the first of 4 episodes, and I call this one When You Give Yourself Permission to Be Seen, because it's really why we met. So I'll let the podcast tell the story, and thank you. I'm really pleased to be sitting on screen with you, and thank you so much for reaching out. It's exciting to see things going globally. I did a parallel life quantum leap thing it's probably about 18 months, nearly 2 years ago now. Mm-hmm. And that was an interesting thing. Have you heard about quantum leaping?
I've heard of the term, but
Yeah,
I don't know a lot about it. So tell me so you had an actual quantum leaping experience.
I did. Yeah.
I want to hear about it.
Well, I was heading off to a men's event for men's well-being, as we were just talking
Mhm.
about before. And I really wanted to settle into, a, I guess, a place where I was going to really be heard in what I wanted to. I was running a couple of workshops and things like that, and so I did a quantum leap meditation into the version of myself that was well, I think the actual terms I used were quite grandiose, actually. A world-renowned, known spiritual teacher kind of thing. I can't remember the exact words, but that's probably pretty close to what it was. And so I did this
First, let's
meditation,
visualize.
and I had
Why
a
wouldn't
friend
you
of
be a
mine.
world renowned? Why wouldn't you be that?
Exactly. Yes, I had a friend of mine who also was part of it for me. It's nice. I find when there's one or more people, well, 2 or more actually, that the energy is always more powerful. I really do, which sort of almost makes me think of a biblical phrase where Jesus apparently said, when 2 or more gather in my name. So it's interesting, isn't it? So, taking the religion out of it, where 2 or more people gather in spirit, it's always way more powerful, I find.
Way more
So
powerful.
I had a friend there who was, tootling along, doing one for himself at the same time. Anyway, that was like the Friday morning. The Friday afternoon, I was off to the event, and the Saturday morning, I was running a workshop. And ordinarily at these events, there's about 120 men come along, and but they run about 5 or 6 workshops at the same time, so there's a choice. And then there are
Gotcha.
guys that don't do the workshops. So on an average, your chance of actually having people in a workshop, if your average is out, it's probably about 12 people maybe will come to a workshop, because there's just so much else stuff going on. And then people on the way to the workshop start chatting to someone else, and next thing you know, they're having a yarn instead of going to the workshop kind of thing. uh, so anyway, usually, and I've run workshops in the past, had 8, 10, 12 people. And so I went down to this deck where I was, allocated. And there's chairs. So I got a table, put a table next to me, put a chair down, and put 2 chairs either side in kind of like an arc that I kind of thought would be a nice start. And, 4 or 5 guys turned up, and then another 3 or 4 turned up, and they sort of put the chairs in this little 4 meter, 12 foot in American language, 12 foot circle. And I
Very
said, no,
nice.
put the chairs out wider, put the chairs out wider. And so they put them out wider, and more people came, and then more people came, and more people came. I ended up with 30, I think it was 37 or 35 people rocked up to the workshop.
Wow, you were like you were the workshop to
Yeah,
attend. It
yeah, I'd
sounds
have done. All the other poor guys probably only had 6 or 8 people. And this was
you had a
phenomenal
better
because it
topic.
doesn't happen like that at these events. So wow, okay. And I didn't have any notes. That was the other thing. I was going to wing it, so I did, and it was great. It went really, really well, and I filled up the whole 2 hours, and yeah, so it was really cool. And then the next day I had another workshop, and didn't get 35 this time, but I had a bunch of guys, and I ran this workshop, and at the end of it, they were just crying. It was just the energy was just so powerful, and no one wanted to go. And I said, "It's 10 o'clock, guys. Morning tea time. Time to go." And they all just sat there like.
Clearly, you were
And
bringing energy for them.
well, I had to get up and actually shamanically release the energy by releasing the elements. Even though I hadn't called them in the first place, I still had to go through a releasing of the energy process before everyone could actually get up and go. And I thought, wow, this quantum leaping thing really works. And then the other thing was, the week after, I had a guy from Portugal calling me. I had someone from the States calling me. And ever since then, I must admit, things haven't gone off in a big flash of thousands of people, or even dozens, but I've had a lot of people contacting me from overseas, like yourself. So thank you. Yeah,
Well, you can well, I feel like that's the power of visualization and the power of manifestation.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and through like my coaching work, I have also this vision of what I call like your future self.
Mm,
And your future self is you in 6 months, or you in a year, or you in 5 years, like whatever it is. And I always say to, to people, like if you want to change, if you want to be different, like visualize what is future you doing? Like in a
yeah,
year from now, like, what is future you saying no to that you are saying yes to? Like where do you need to
yeah,
start saying no so you can say yes to the things that are really important? So I love that idea of accelerating it. And I think that, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but all you need to do, like just how you were visualizing, um, how you were this world-renowned teacher, and then 30 something men showed up to your workshop as opposed to what a normal, week
eight or
might have
10.
been.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
it's
you
amazing,
manifested
isn't it?
that. You're like, I'm
Yeah,
this powerful.
yeah,
I got something to
exactly.
teach. And even then the next day, people didn't want to leave. So it's
Yeah,
like as long as you believe it, that's how it comes across, which is really powerful. Like
yeah,
we have the power to make that
we
happen.
do. Yeah, absolutely. And I often find that spirit will show you something, will show me something, and it's like this, whoa, I'm on the wave kind of thing. And then it sort of settles down. Have you noticed that? And then it's like, okay, I've shown you the potential, and now what is it? What things are there that I need to let go of to allow me to maintain that level of energy? It's funny because
Wow.
I did a masterclass once, and I used an elastic band, and I'd lost my elastic band, and I found it this morning. And it's funny that this should come up, because what I said to people was, it's like this tension. It's like this tension. Whoop, elastic band's a bit crappy.
A little
It's like
old.
this tension where you get up to here, and which way do you go? Do you, thwang back down to where you were, or do you up level your energy? Whoops, my elastic band is pretty old.
It's
Do you up
disintegrating in
level
front
your
of us.
energy? Do you raise yourself to that standard, or do you allow your baggage, whatever, to
I
pull
think
you
what it
back?
is, I think it's fear because it's funny, like I work a lot with women, with people who deal with self-doubt, who
Yeah.
maybe have a little bit of confidence, like a little bit of lack of confidence, or just imposter syndrome. Like they don't like
Mm.
they want these things, but then when they are faced with the possibility of having it,
Yeah.
it becomes it's like they lose faith in themselves.
Yeah, totally. There's a thing. You've probably heard of Bashar. Have you heard of?
Bashar,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I think he's funny as he's really cool. He has some very interesting things to say. Some stuff I think, yeah, righto. Actually, he was talking about Bashar the other day, and he says, I don't know whether he's an extraterrestrial or not, really, but that's how he presents himself. And I thought that was good to hear, because personally, I'm not too sure that I believe in extraterrestrials, but there's something to chat about. But Bashar said in one of his things, he said, the reason you don't have what you prefer is because you prefer something else. And that fits in
Okay.
exactly with what you're saying. These people who, even me, you, when we don't actually achieve what we prefer, it's because we either prefer with what we've got, or we're afraid of what might happen if we got what we've got. Therefore, we remain happy with what we've got. So it's what you're saying, that self doubt, the saboteur, imposter syndrome comes in because, well, I'm okay, I'm alive, I'm surviving. And you
I
go
think that
from, you sort of bring your energy down again. The elastic band, I threw it away because it fell apart. But you bring your
it,
energy down instead of up leveling
it
yourself to
raised
that
me stuff
next.
up. Well, this is like makes me feel like sometimes I can understand this because I feel like what it requires for you to go to that upper level
Mm.
is for you to get uncomfortable.
Oh
So
yeah.
you are very comfortable with where you are. You're like, I know how my day is going to go. I know what to expect. I know that I can rise to the occasion and even, maybe more. But then when you raise the stakes, it becomes less sure and you become uncomfortable. And I feel as though people often choose being okay with
Mm-hmm.
less
The
because
status
they don't
quo.
want to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny, I made a New Year's resolution a couple years back saying that my resolution was to be uncomfortable. Like I wanted to force myself
I
to
love it.
be in a place where I had to learn and I had to grow and I had to change. And I
Yeah.
felt like once that started, it became a little bit addictive. Like I feel as though I am always and you know what? I'm a big believer in there's no failure. I think that people are afraid to fail. They're afraid to like belly flop in front
Mm.
of, the public. But I
Yeah.
feel as though if you look at it in a different way, it's all perspective. Like if you look at it and say, I either win or I learn. It doesn't have to be about failing. You can just learn a better way and say, you know what, I'll be better the next time. So I think
Mm.
that kind of um, rejiggering how it fits into your narrative is really important and not being afraid to learn.